teachers! Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So for today's video, we're going to give an awareness on how to think or act appropriately in the society using the 4 pillars of education. But before that, let me introduce first the 4 pillars of education. The 4 pillars of education, there are learning to know, learning to do, learning to live, and learning to be. The 4 pillars of education for the 21st century, which brings the merit of helping people committed to quality pedagogical practice. Expanding knowledge makes it possible to understand the environment in which one lives, encourage curiosity, provoking the conquest of autonomy, and using critical sense to understand reality. The 4 pillars of education should guide the actions of educators to develop learning appropriate to the transformation experience from reality. They also support the holistic formation of the individual with skills to argue, offer reasoned opinions against arguing the side with logical reasoning, and reaching the final judgment. Learning to know leads to an understanding of the world around him, openness to the knowledge of one's own and others, which keeps him from ignorance. Learning to know must be part of the human development throughout its existence and will become effective learning by being able to produce in the people the impulse and foundations of their activities. Learning to do leads to practicing absorbed knowledge, which takes you away from egoism. Learning to live together directs him to teamwork, which keeps him away from isolation. The learning to be that solidifies the pillars and harmonizes the conform the human being intact. Awareness on how to act appropriately in the society using the 4 pillars. Having good social behavior or etiquette can make your life much more enjoyable. People will respond well to you and enjoy being around you if you have some basic knowledge of proper ways to act around others. Some ways to learn good social behavior using the 4 pillars. First is think about who you are around. An audience isn't always a group of individuals who are watching you perform literally, but our social interactions are in a many ways of type of performance. You could notice that you behave differently around close family members or friends than you do around strangers. When you're alone with your coworkers, you might act differently than when your supervisor is there. You might also conduct differently around children than you would around the elderly. Consider why this is the case. Be considerate of those around you. Just like in learning to know, it deals with the understanding of the world we inhabit and of ourselves, of the objective of living worthy of the need to develop capacities appropriate to the current reality. Focus on logical reasoning with autonomy. Knowledge evolves rapidly and in various directions, which makes total knowledge almost impossible. Dedicated by this pillar of learning to know is to seek the broad general culture and focus on certain subjects of interest depending on the details to make them great. Second is take note of how others behave. This is especially useful in new situations such as a new work or social group. You can acquire a sense of suitable ways individuals engage in various settings by standing back and watching for a while. Just like in learning to live together, living and working with others, presenting propositions, participating in plans and projects, celebrating achievements in family and at work, this is the direction of fundamental learning. In the educational, the same learning applies. Therefore, it is essential to learn to live with others with respect to dignity, diversity, skills, and one of the other, and to exclude bullying from social life. Work on projects of common interest, which implies a new attitude towards oneself and the other and the reality. Third Third is observe social cues. We can catch up on social cues from others that they haven't directly told us about. For instance, you're working on a project when someone approaches you to talk. You quickly recognize them before returning to your work. If they keep trying to chat to you, they haven't picked up on your social cues, which is that you're too busy right now to talk. Just like in learning to live together is the mechanism of education for developing people. This education should tend towards common goals, attenuating differences. When working in cooperation in sports activities, cultural activities, presentations of book fairs, professions, the tendency is to establish a coexistence of help, training of ideas, and joy. Contact laws strength and make room for the constructions of a cohesive, harmonious, and happy group, being a reference for future life. Fourth is avoid making generalization about certain groups of individuals. For example, comments that apply to all women or men, individuals of various races or sexual orientations, or people of a particular age range. Even if you're speaking to a group that doesn't include the people you're making about or you're remarking about, stereotyping or making racist or sexist remarks can be insulting. Just like in learning to be, we know that Beltran learns a lot from his peers in whatever environmental they are. Learn a lot from what they see and hear in the world, both in the classroom and outside it. Children acquire the ability to discuss and explore relevant issues in the context of mutual trust and respect. Thus, learning to be contributes to the integral formation of the individuals in all sectors of knowledge, namely intelligence, thinking skills, and criteria of logical reasoning, argumentation based on culture, diversities, and scientific knowledge. Learning to be must be valued in today's world by preparing the individuals throughout life to develop learning to know, learning to be, learning to do, learning to live together. In the literal sense of the word being as a person, learning should be integral without neglecting any potential of each individual.